We're back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sponsored Content. I am your host. Today on Spawn Storytime episode number 10, we will be covering Spawn issue number 10. Spawn issue number 10 is another issue guest written by writer Dave Sim of Cerebus fame. Before we get into that, let's recap issue number 9. Issue number 9 was a fantastic issue where we were introduced to the bounty hunter Angela. We also met Medieval Spawn and Cagliostro. Essentially, in issue number 9, we learn that there is an angel bounty hunter that hunts Hellspawn. Her name is Angela. She's been doing this for 800 or more years. In issue number 9, we see Angela confront and battle Medieval Spawn. She annihilates him and sends him into oblivion. She collects his trophy, and 800 years in the future, she is now trying to hunt New Age current Al Simmons Spawn. And she is quickly finding out that he is a little bit more advanced than Hellspawn she's fought in the past. So he kind of whoops up on her ass a little bit and sends her scurrying back to heaven. At the end of the issue, Spawn, against the better judgment of Cagliostro, starts to fiddle with Angela's lance, pressing buttons, not really listening, and he gets zapped into nowhere. So we're about to find out what happens to Spawn after he's transplanted realities from playing with Angela's lance. Issue number 10 was released on May 1st, 1993, and features artwork depicting Spawn and Cerebus, the aardvark, in mostly black and white, but a splash of color. Again, Dave Sim is the guest writer who is responsible for the Cerebus series. This issue is a bit of a meta-commentary on the comic industry as a whole, something that I'm certainly not qualified to discuss, but I will attempt to explain what's going on the pages so that you have enough information to do your own research. Alright, I wanted to start maybe incorporating the physical media here to some degree, so fuck it, we're going to pull it out. Here's issue number 10. In all its glory. Looks beautiful. I would encourage you to procure these issues either in comic form or compendium form or digital form or any form if you're interested in getting into Spawn. I'm showing you the digital versions, but I would highly encourage you to make an effort to pay to play, so to speak. I'm not saying go out, and I'm not giving financial advice, so don't go out and buy a bunch of shit. I don't want to see my name in divorce proceedings. But I want to encourage you to get into any sort of print versions of Spawn that you can, if that's something that you're able to do. I understand that not everyone not everyone can afford to just buy up a bunch of print. Not everyone has the space to store a bunch of print. But if you can, I would just highly recommend getting something that you can put your hands on, that you can appreciate, that you can touch, that you can take care of, and make it your own. In the aftermath of being zapped into oblivion by Angela's lance, Spawn is finding himself sort of struggling with his identity. He thinks he is simultaneously Spawn, and he is also not Spawn. And he kind of explains why he feels this way, that he has memories that are Al Simmons, he has memories that are not, he has information regarding several things that he would not otherwise have. So he's kind of struggling in a duality, I am Spawn, I am not Spawn, and trying to find out what that means. Spawn continues to discuss in the ways in which he is different from himself. Basically, he knows facts about Sam and Twitch. He knows why Twitch is so-called Twitch. He knows, history of their friends. He knows what Spawn will find when he goes to Al Simmons' grave, eventually and inevitably. So Spawn is struggling with being deceased Al Simmons and the memories that he had and the new memories that he has as a Hellspawn and a product of Hell, and being a little bit more omniscient than maybe he realized at first. He continues to describe how the alleyways in New York City have been there even before the city was formed, and that he has a very extensive knowledge of all the levels of Hell except for level 7. No one seems to have any information about the 7th level called Erebus. Spawn continues on, sort of facing this dilemma. He's learning that when he is actually not Spawn, that teleporting is much easier, so we can kind of see that he's figuring out how to tap into his power and Basically, if he sort of isolates himself away from Al Simmons, he's finding that he's much more capable in his powers and what he's able to accomplish. And if he kind of remains in his humanized form, he's much more limited in both his capacity with his power and generally his just abilities overall. He says that he is able to teleport because he's essentially everywhere all at once. And then we see he stumbles upon a group of men who are bound. They have hoods over them. Spawn's kind of, concerned because this is a group of people standing in front of what seems to be a fire. Spawn, he doesn't really want to see this, but he knows that he needs to see this and he wants to know everything. So in order to do that, he must face what he fears. When Spawn decides to check out what's going on over here, we can see several arms reaching through the jail cell. They are heroes, champions, watchmen, avengers, defenders, men of steel, women of tomorrow, gods of thunder, crusaders. So you can probably gather sort of what's going on here. Again, I'm not really qualified to opine about this commentary, but essentially what's happening here is Todd McFarlane is saying that a lot of the comic creators have gotten themselves in a situation where, their creative freedom is limited. Basically, these superheroes, they're locked behind a creative wall, and that their creators have sold them off, and that, there's a lot to be said here that I'm just not really able to explain very well. Spawn says, these superheroes are basically trapped. Their creators, they're bound and gagged and trembling with fear. So as we've seen before, Spawn's working up a pretty big fire hand. He's going to try to blast these prison doors open. He's working up unlimited power, unimaginable power, and he can see that his power has no effect, absolutely none whatsoever, on these prison bars. He hears the heroes behind the prison start to say, "Take our power. Take our power, Spawn. Our power is yours. Take it." Now we see who we believe to be Superman, and he's described as being the voice of He Who Came First. And he says, "My planet exploded and I was sent to Earth as an infant. It's up to you now, Spawn. It's now or never. Our power is yours. Please take it. You need it. We're locked up. We can't do shit. You're out there, and we need you." So the power flows into Spawn, surging through every limb. His power is just absolute now. He's basically the cosmos. His power is so concentrated. He's every galaxy, every planet, every star, and every sun. So now with all the power of DC and Marvel and Independence combined, Spawn tries once again to blast the shit out of the prison cell, and absolutely nothing happens. Now we see the Violator dressed up in his Lady Justice attire. He's holding a scale. One side's filled with all the money in the world. The other side is a shriveled, black, disgusting heart awash in tears and blood. The Violator's wearing a dress that's made of billions and billions and billions of dollars. And all the while, Violator's saying, "You failed, buddy boy. You failed." Laughing his ass off. "You failed. You failed." And then the Violator disappears and Spawn is left, standing in front of the hooded men who are continuing to weep. The superheroes are behind the bars, and we see the caped hero here mention Doomsday. And Spawn says everything becomes quiet. The silence is deafening, and the silence is agony. And here we have Spawn meet Cerebus the Aardvark for the first time. So real quickly, Cerebus the Aardvark is a character from another comic series titled Cerebus, which was written by Dave Sim. And prior to Spawn taking the crown as the longest running independent creator-owned comic, whatever, around issue 300 when Spawn surpassed Cerebus as the longest running independent comic, that's basically kind of what's going on here. So Cerebus has gone on board in this sort of meta commentary about the industry, and now he's taking Spawn on a tour of sort of his world, the black and white world. Spawn says, "Look, I need to save these people," and Cerebus is like, "Look, you can't save them. I've been here 15 years. Cerebus knows." And Spawn says, "Who are these people?" Cerebus replies, "They are superheroes." And Spawn asks, "Well, who are these hooded men?" And Cerebus says, "They are their creators. They are the ones that sold them. And again, it's best not to think about it." So Cerebus is taking Spawn on a journey through Cerebus's world. Spawn mentions how everything is gray, and Cerebus is like, "Yeah, no shit. Like, have you not looked at my comic in the last 30 years? Cerebus takes Spawn to a beautiful house, and he says, "Welcome home." And Spawn's like, "Home? My home? This isn't any home that I've ever known." And Cerebus is basically showing him it's sort of like A Wonderful Life. Like, this is kind of what Spawn's life would look like, probably if he wasn't murdered. You know, he's married to Wanda. They have a daughter. Spawn's just super happy to be here and thinks that he's found everything that he's wanted finally. Spawn asks, you know, how is this possible? And Cerebus replies, you know, it's as simple as your creator, you know, he's still with you, he didn't sell you off, and that's why, you know, you're able to be here basically doing whatever you want, and you're not hamstringed with a bunch of red tape from the comic industry giants or the companies that are controlling sort of the creative freedom that some of the artists and some of the employees were wanting to have. Cerebus continues to show Spawn what his life would be like in this scenario, and Spawn is just absolutely happy. He has a million questions for Cerebus. Cerebus, of course, he has to leave. He can't stick around. And there's a phone call. It's for Cerebus. He says, hey, Mike, what's up? Yeah, I'll be there pretty soon. And that's basically it. Cerebus turns to leave Spawn. He says, you know, I'm going to take off. He says, you know, tell Wanda that I said hi, and Cerebus splits. In our last page, we can see Spawn holding Cyan walking down the steps of his home. He hears Wanda approach. Hi, honey, I'm home. And we're basically at the, did you have a good day today, dear? How was your day? Well, I had a good day today. How was your day? And we see at the bottom kind of a big sort of FU to the industry, I think. You know, Spawn is a trademark and copyright of Todd McFarlane. Cerebus is a trademark and copyright of Dave Sim. You know, and this is forever. So again, this is sort of a commentary on the industry, sort of an issue that stands on its own in a vacuum, but still an interesting issue, sort of the aftermath of where Spawn gets zapped to when he grabs Angela's lance, and an interesting commentary to ponder. Anyway, this was kind of a weird issue to cover, just because it has a lot of content that's rooted in commentary that I'm not really qualified to have an opinion about. So hopefully that covered the issue pretty well. If you're interested in getting more into this specific issue, you know, I would recommend doing that, or doing some more research into kind of the way the industry was around this time, early 90s, and what Todd McFarlane was attempting to do at Image Comics. And I'm not going to get into all that. That's a whole nother video and a whole nother discussion and a whole nother argument, but I just hope I've given you enough information to go on to research some of the things presented in this issue a little more deeply. But otherwise, that's a wrap on issue number 10, sort of a standalone issue in a way, sort of a tribute issue maybe, sort of a fuck you. Anyway, that's been Sponsored Content, episode number 10. In episode number 11, we will actually get an issue guest written by Frank Miller, so be sure to check in for that. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you again.